Let's take a look at what the switches do in the dash area of the new Toyota Prius. Had a lot of questions on the channel, people asking me to go over those. All of this stuff is in the manual, by the way, but this is a much simpler way to find out. First of all, you've got the big switch. This is pretty easy. It's power. We're going to turn the car on. Notice, when you push that button, you're no longer starting the Prius, you're simply turning it on. So, everybody knows how to do this. Just push the button. That's it. Now we're on. Everything should fire up, including the radio screen. Takes a couple seconds, I guess. I had it turned off earlier, but that's going to fire up and come on. Now, the engine did start, as you may have heard right there, so I guess you might be able to call that a start button. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to look from the left over, I guess, from the driver's perspective. Starting here, we have 3 switches right in front of your left knee. The one on the left with the A in it right here, that is for the automatic headlights. So you push that once, it lights up, and now your auto headlights are on. That would be the auto high beams, I should say. What that does is it's going to turn the high beams off and on dependent upon ambient light in the front of the car. I never use it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back off. Next to that, this little fuzzy line, that's going to be the windshield de-icer. Same thing, pop that puppy on, you get a light that comes on, and what it's going to do is heat up the windshield so that it de-ices. Particularly handy if you live in a winter climate. I might even try that if the windows were all fogged up. It should work pretty good with that as well. 70-some degrees here now, so not an issue. Next to that, we have the heated steering wheel button. Push that, it lights up, and your steering wheel is going to become nice and toasty. I actually used this recently because we had a couple of freezing days here in South Texas, and it felt pretty good, I must admit. And you can even feel it underneath or through your gloves. Pretty darn handy. Now, moving up a little bit, kind of hidden, and it's really poorly placed, right behind the turn signal, or the little selector here, I should say, for the lights and all that stuff, you've got 3 different buttons. The one in the center just tells you what they're for. Like you could actually see it, but you can't. There's a down arrow and an up arrow. What that does is change the brightness of the metering on the gauge cluster. If you see there in the gauge cluster, it lit up and you can see it going dim. I can turn it almost all the way off, but not quite. Hit the one on the right, the button over there, and it's gonna light everything up. I always keep this on full bright because it's always bright sunshine down here in South Texas, and it makes it easy to see all of the readouts. Now, next to that, you have an odometer or trip button. Now this, and we'll look on the screen here, you press, and right there, you can see it's going to change the trip, or show the trip, I guess, the last trip. I've never changed mine, so it shows 941, 941, hit it a 3rd time, and it shows you when you're going to need an oil change. You can see the little wrench light up there. For me, it's 9,081 miles. Push it a 3rd time, and it just goes back to current or odometer. Now, while you're on one of these trip meters, we'll go to trip B. If you hold it down, it resets to 0, like you saw right there. So, I go back, I have my maintenance minder with mileage, my miles, that's the actual odometer, the trip A, which I've never reset, and trip B, which I just reset with you guys a couple seconds ago. Now, let's move over to the right. And you may not have all of these features. Keep in mind, I have the limited. It's just 1 notch below the prime, I guess. So I've got a lot of features on here. If you don't have any of these buttons, it's because of the trim level that you have. Nothing to fear. Let's go back over here. We have this little icon with a P above it. That is the park assist. That's the automatic parking feature. If I press that, then the screen is going to do one of these numbers. It's going to show me where the car is. It wants me to fasten my seatbelt, I guess. If I don't do anything, you guys could see there, it just goes right back to the radio screen. I did a video testing out that feature, so if you want to know how it works, just check back a few videos on the channel and you can see that. I did it in a parking lot, actually at Lowe's. Beside that button, you have a view button. Push that and it's going to change the view on the screen. And I really love this one. This is the 360-degree above the car view. And you can see it's kind of spinning around, showing me all areas around the car. I think that is pretty cool. Now, if we press it again, it's going to turn off and you won't have any camera on there at all. Again, I just think it's a pretty cool cool feature. Let's hit it again. Worth looking at one more time. You can pause it if you want to stop where you're at rather. You can restart it and it's going to give you a different view. And I know I'm getting beyond just the gauge or the dash buttons, but that's another view it shows you around the outside of the car. And then we're going to flash back to above. Down at the bottom there is a settings button where you can choose what that thing is actually going to show you. A very neat feature, I think. Maybe a little bit gimmicky, I'm not quite sure, but it's pretty cool. I kind of dig the way it works. Now, that's pretty much all of the buttons across the dash area, excluding, of course, the HVAC stuff, the heated seats, rear window defroster. There's an auto on-off. Depending, again, upon what trim level you have, you're going to see different options here than what I've got. But nonetheless, that's the full run out of features on the front of the car. Now, down the road, if you guys are interested, I might run through what the buttons do here on the steering wheel. If anybody's interested in seeing that, make sure that you leave a comment down and below rather, and let me know if you're interested in that. One other thing I want to point out about the front area here, the dash area, we've got this illuminated light strip. It flashes for you because of the bit rate, I guess, in the video. It does not flash normally. What that is, it gives you information. Not only does it look cool, but it will light up under certain circumstances, like if traffic takes off and you don't go ahead and pull forward, it'll flash a little just to kind of kick you in the rear end and let you know it's time to go. I wish a lot of people had those in their cars, let me tell you. Leave a comment. Let me know if I missed anything. I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.